Steve Miani here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts, doing the junkyard crawl with a relic from the past. This is a Ford Louisville Series L700 truck. Now, the Louisville trucks were named after the Ford assembly plant in Louisville, Kentucky, and they were made between 1970 and 1995. Now, a lot of folks remember them as these big rigs from over the road use right there, the big ones, but the vast majority of these things were much more humble worker bee trucks like that thing right there. There it is. Oops. There we go, right there. And that's what we call a tractor. That's a single axle. This would have been a gasoline powered. Now, these things were made between the L600, 700, 800, and 900 with gasoline engines, and then with diesel engines, the L7000, 8,000, 9,000. So when it's an extra zero, you know it's a diesel. Now this one here is a 1985 or newer, because up front we don't see the Ford letters like right here on this little model, FRD. That was 1970 through 84, but in 1985 the Ford blue oval replaced those letters, and here's the holes where that big blue oval used to be. Now we all know that in the mid 70s or mid 80s Ford got back to its roots and re-acknowledged its blue oval, like on 5 liters and stuff. But the big L series trucks also got the blue oval. Now, something that's really novel about these replaced the Super Duty Ford trucks of the 1960s and 50s. And for 1970, it's hard to imagine, this is 52 years old, this design, but the Louisville series was one of the first trucks, heavy duty, with a fiberglass flip nose. And beyond that, they all had this distinctive circular air inlet. Now here's the thing, this feeds air into the engine. On earlier trucks, this would have been a big canister mounted externally. So this was far more aerodynamic, much less prone to weather and snow and ice. So let's take a look inside. Okay, there it is, fiberglass tilt nose. No, it's not a 55 Chevy gasser, but you can see where that circular opening feeds that duct, which then would lead down into the engine. And before we get to the air cleaner, let's just look at this engine bay. This was a gasoline truck, I'm pretty sure. So again, it was an L700, maybe a 600 or an 800, but again, not a diesel truck. That would have been a 1000 series truck. But here's that heavy duty frame, and the rubber bumper right here for closing, the horn, and again, the architecture and the layout of a heavy-duty truck like this is similar to a car, but not the same. The hinges are pretty heavy-duty pieces, but the beauty is these have a molded-in handle recess. So standing in front of this thing, you just pull on it and the hood comes right up. It's not that heavy, and again, it's fiberglass. This is not a 55 Chevy gasser. This is a Ford truck, and again, Ford pretty much was one of the first to use a fiberglass nose in mass production on a heavy-duty truck. In fact, that International truck right there was acknowledgement from International Harvester that the fiberglass nose was a good idea. That whole front fender section lifts up just like this, but Ford did it first. Now that hole in that air cleaner feeds this right here. And this is the duct right here that would be fed from underneath the hood. And this is a Donaldson heavy-duty air cleaner. This would have been seen on the gasoline versions. These are serviceable, but inside of this is a massive dry paper element. And again, because this was not located outside on a stack, like on an older Super Duty, it wasn't prone to getting snowed on or anything like that. And again, the aerodynamic qualities of the air going by that and being drawn in through there versus this big canister, like a shop vac hanging off the side of the truck, is part of the deal. Let's look at the cab. Now, the L series had a wraparound windshield, and if you come inside, you'll see one of the most spacious cabs really up to this time. And it's hard to imagine, this is a 52-year-old design, but if you look inside, you'll see a massive cab with plenty of room, great visibility looking out, and bench seat up front. Buckets were certainly a possibility, but the bench seat, kind of an uncommon thing in a big truck like this. The radio, this one had the optional radio, not where you think it is, it's up top. There it is right there. So you reach up to adjust the radio, and yeah, keep this vehicle clean. You know, certainly a message from the owner of this truck. Now the dashboard on this is padded right here, and that was kind of a safety touch that was added to these things. The heater on this one says high output, a great thing here in Massachusetts where the winter times are going to be 10 degrees or below. And the cab itself is steel, again the front clip fiberglass, but with that said, you know, lightweight design for what it was at the time. Very big greenhouse for excellent visibility looking out. Now this one did have an external vertical smokestack, or exhaust stack I should say, right here at the brackets to where it once went up. Kind of an unusual thing for a gasoline truck to have a vertical stack like that, but there you see it. Standard air brakes on the Louisville trucks. They're massive, of course. There's no way your leg is going to create enough hydraulic pressure to stop this thing. The cab is also mounted on a quartet of thick rubber blocks right here. This one's fractured, but again, ask any over-the-road trucker and they'll tell you that a floating cab with really good mounts is key, that and a good seat, to keep you from getting fatigued in driving for long periods of time. Now this one is what we call a straight truck with, it's not a tractor. This one's probably had a flatbed or a box on it. It's a really long wheelbase too, this one, but these were available as shorties with single and dual axles, as tractors to pull trailers and stuff like that. But this one again probably had a box on it. And you can see here the steel rails. Aluminum frame rails were kind of controversial. You'd see those in the 1960s and 70s on Freightliners and Peterbilts and stuff like that. Trouble is with aluminum frame rails, they time out. There's a fatigue factor, and the repair element is minimal. So steel frames like this were pretty much the rule in the industry, and especially on a fairly inexpensive truck like this Louisville Series Ford truck. So again, you know, flip nose fiberglass front end on a truck, yeah, Ford Louisville Line, 1970 through 1995. So that's the story here. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel.